above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please sign no. Jury number 2, these are true and correct verdicts. Jury number 9, these are true and correct verdicts. Yes. Jury number 19, these are true and correct verdicts. Jury number 27, these are true and correct verdicts. Yes. Jury number 4, these are true and correct verdicts. Jury number 52, these are true and correct verdicts. Jury number 55, these are true and correct verdicts. Yes. Jury number 9, these are true and correct verdicts. Jury number 85, these are true and correct verdicts. Jury number 89, these are true and correct verdicts. Yes. Jury number 91, these are true and correct verdicts. Yes. Jury number 92, these are true and correct verdicts. Yes. Are these your verdicts? So say you one, so say you all. Yes. Members of the jury, I find that the verdicts as read reflect the will of the jury and will be filed accordingly.
We'll discuss grand juries. A grand jury determines whether there is enough evidence to accuse or charge someone with a crime. But grand juries do not determine whether someone is guilty or innocent of the crime. The grand in grand jury means big. Federal grand juries are bigger than trial juries and usually have 16 to 23 members. You can think of a grand jury as a shield against unjust prosecution. Among other things, a grand jury is supposed to make sure that if there is no evidence, a person will not be accused of a crime.
The grand jury plays an important role in white-collar criminal matters. It has two main functions: to investigate and to protect citizens against unfounded criminal prosecutions. In its investigative capacity, a grand jury can subpoena documents and witnesses. Grand jurors are chosen from the same group of people as trial jurors. When you receive notice for jury service, you could be called for either one. 18 months. A federal grand jury is a body of citizens consisting of 23 persons who sit, in secrecy, to hear evidence concerning crimes against the laws of the United States. Federal grand jury service ordinarily lasts 18 months. When a prosecutor brings a case to a grand jury, she presents the jurors with a bill, the charges, and introduces evidence, usually the minimum necessary, in the prosecutor's opinion, to secure an indictment. A grand jury is a jury, a group of citizens, empowered by law to conduct legal proceedings, investigate potential criminal conduct, and determine whether criminal charges should be brought. A grand jury may subpoena physical evidence or a person to testify. Grand jury federal jurors are paid $50 a day. Jurors can receive up to $60 a day after serving 45 days on a grand jury. Employees of the federal government are paid their regular salary in lieu of this fee. Jurors also are reimbursed for reasonable transportation expenses and parking fees. An example of a grand jury is the group, led by Ken Starr, that investigated President Bill Clinton. After a grand jury indictment, a defendant has the opportunity to enter a plea. A guilty plea could lead to a quick sentencing hearing or the imposition of a pre-arranged plea bargain with prosecutors. If a defendant pleads not guilty, the case will move forward to trial. States are not required to charge by use of a grand jury. Many do, but the Supreme Court has interpreted the Constitution to only require the federal government to use grand juries for all felony crimes. Federal misdemeanor charges do not have to come from the federal grand jury. The grand jury plays an important role in white-collar criminal matters. It has two main functions: to investigate and to protect citizens against unfounded criminal prosecutions. In its investigative capacity, a grand jury can subpoena documents and witnesses.